Imagine a SpongeBob episode, the usual bright, cheerful episode meant to make kids laugh, but this time it's the complete opposite. Instead of the colors shining, the screen starts to darken. Instead of laughter, silence descends. That's exactly what the episode we're reviewing today, Are You Happy Now?, is like. Everything in SpongeBob's world seems fun, but this episode reveals Squidward's darkest side. The episode, Are You Happy Now?, begins with Squidward's usual unhappiness. At the Krusty Krab, SpongeBob mentions the Book of Happiness and asks Squidward, "What was the happiest moment of your life?" Squidward stares blankly and can't remember anything because there is no trace of happiness in his past. His life is only in shades of gray. Squidward looks blankly and can't remember anything because there's no trace of happiness in his past. His life is just gray. SpongeBob suggests drawing pictures to cheer him up, plans games, and involves Patrick in the process, but none of his efforts work. Here we realize that this episode is not only funny, it also has a dark psychological tone. Also in this part, Squidward accidentally throws the book on the grill, but SpongeBob has backup copies of the book. This small but meaningful detail shows SpongeBob's planned and prepared nature. As viewers, we both laugh and admire his optimism here. When Squidward returns home, he turns off the lights. The room is dark and silent. The vacant look on his face makes us, the viewers, feel the weight of his depression. Actually, there are dark humor scenes here in the style of bait and switch. He sticks his head in the oven, but only a brownie comes out. He hangs a rope but ties it to his pet clam cage. Again in this part, Squidward's long beard symbolizes his prolonged loneliness and depression. The camera angles, overhead shots, and eye-level shots make us feel the character's inner world. The color tones and music also add a dramatic atmosphere to the episode. We are both laughing and feeling uncomfortable. Squidward's loneliness, dark humor, and real psychological issues are presented together. Perhaps one of the most talked about parts of the episode comes here. Squidward attends a concert. The stage is bright, and the strings of the large orchestra rise, but a momentary mishap turns everything upside down. A violinist in the orchestra accidentally throws his bow into Squidward's eye. The bow feels like it's stuck in his eye, like an arrow. The camera zooms in, giving the viewer an uncomfortable shock. Years later, this scene became a meme on the internet, known as Eye Scream, or Squidward Eye Bow. This moment is both an example of slapstick comedy and an unsettling detail. As Squidward's streak of misfortune continues, we as viewers are caught between laughing at his pain and feeling uncomfortable. Finally, even if only for a moment, a glimmer of hope appears for Squidward. Squidward's artwork is displayed at the Bikini Bottom Museum. Critics praise it, and crowds gaze at the piece in admiration. A rare smile appears on Squidward's face. This may be a moment of true happiness for him, but this happiness is fragile, because just then, the famous art critic Fiasco appears. He has a flamethrower in his hand, and without hesitation burns, melts, and destroys Squidward's work. The scene is dramatic. Music swells in the background, and the light of hope in Squidward's eyes fades, replaced by a dark void. It is at this point that we receive the most important message. Squidward's happiness is always doomed to be destroyed. After a string of misfortunes, SpongeBob devises another plan to restore the happiness that has vanished from Squidward's face. He puts him in a hot air balloon. As the balloon rises into the sky, for the first time, a look of peace mixed with astonishment appears in Squidward's eyes. As the balloon ascends, the landscape below expands. The blue sea and distant mountain silhouettes appear on the screen. Perhaps this is the one moment in Squidward's life when he truly rises above. But as usual, the peace doesn't last long. The balloon spins out of control, the wind tosses them about, and they lose their direction. The frantically drifting balloon finally bursts, flinging Squidward and SpongeBob onto the summit of a high mountain called Mount Bikini. At the top of the mountain, that serene atmosphere is briefly captured once more. The air is clear, and there is a blanket of pure white snow all around them. The camera zooms in on Squidward's face. He looks tired and weary, but perhaps there is a tiny spark of peace within him. This moment seems like his escape point, where he is disconnected from the world, even if only for a moment, and remains in silence. But the silence is quickly broken once again. At the summit, an avalanche begins as a result of the balloon bursting. Masses of snow begin to slide down rapidly, engulfing Squidward and SpongeBob. As the two characters are tossed about among the huge snowdrifts, the glimmer of hope on Squidward's face fades once more. It's the same cycle again. Every hope inevitably turns into chaos. This scene is like a metaphor for Squidward's life. Whenever he climbs up, smiles, and approaches happiness, the world begins to slip away from under his feet. Being swept down from the top of the mountain becomes a visual representation of his tragedy. Once again, we realize that this episode carries a psychological weight far beyond mere humor. The fleeting happiness gives way to emptiness once again. Squidward's face is a mirror of his soul. For a moment, he felt joy, but that joy turned to ashes in an instant. At this point, SpongeBob continues to be by his side and to strive with hope, but these efforts amount to nothing more than a temporary smile. In fact, we realize that this episode officially paints Squidward's psychological portrait: loneliness, depression, and constantly recurring temporary hopes. Dramatic cues are visible in the camera angles. Shots from above emphasize Squidward's smallness and powerlessness. Shots from below, on the other hand, show SpongeBob as a beacon of hope. This visual contrast actually reflects the character's psychological states. When Squidward returns home, he turns off the lights. The room is completely dark. His face shows no expression, only a blank stare. The silence grows heavier, and he begins to prepare a rope in a corner, a knot hanging from the center of the ceiling. The camera frames this moment in a particularly distressing way. Actually, we understand what Squidward is going to do here. And for a moment, we feel a deep unease because seeing such a dark image in the colorful, cheerful world of cartoons creates a strange feeling in all of us. But the rope scene suddenly ends as a bait and switch. Squidward hangs the rope from the ceiling, and just when we all think he's going to attempt suicide, he actually hangs his pet clam's cage. Just an ordinary, simple daily chore. Still, those few seconds of footage become one of the most disturbing and memorable scenes of the episode, because we get the feeling that Squidward might have really been thinking about the end. The episode ends, but there is no resolution. Squidward is still unhappy. His vacant stare continues and he remains silent. Perhaps the feeling that lingers with most of us is this: happiness is fleeting, and for a character like Squidward, it is almost impossible. As much as the episode seems to begin with comedy, it leaves a deep sense of unease at the end. Are You Happy Now? Is therefore perhaps one of the darkest and most disturbing episodes in SpongeBob history, because in a cartoon made for children, the weight of depression and hopelessness is not usually conveyed so directly. But in this episode, we saw these heavy emotions very clearly. I really put a lot of effort into making this video and prepared every detail for you. If you liked it, don't forget to like my video and leave a comment, because your comments and likes really support me. Guys, most people who watch the video are still not subscribed to my channel. If you want to support my channel, don't forget to subscribe. It's really important to me. I look forward to your comments on the video. I really enjoy reading your thoughts on the episode. See you in the next video. Take care. Remember, the world of cartoons is much bigger and deeper than you think. I'm Lauren.